Welcome back, everybody, to another deck profile here with Kyle Chris, and today we're going to be going over our first set 16 list post-release. Today we're going to be going over Super Saiyan God Trunks. This is my favorite leader out of the new set. I absolutely love this deck. I think after even making my State of the Meta video, I do actually respect this deck a lot more now. I feel like gets a little too much comparison to Gogeta Xeno, mainly because obviously you play like the thwarting package, but this deck does a lot more than just play thwarting. And that's what we're going to go over here today, and this is one of a few different builds that I've done. You know, if you guys have played this deck before, if you guys are going to be playing this deck, you know, hit me up in the comments. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys are running anything else. In particular, like I said, I'll kind of go over some stuff here as much as I can. I would like to announce, so I think we are going to be working on a Patreon here for the channel for a multitude of things. One, for coaching, for anyone who's, you know, interested in just, you know, who's getting into the game, who wants, you know, some, you know, play-by-play, some, you know, help deck building, things like that. Making sure that you are, you know, playing the best you possibly can from a competitive standpoint, of course, right? Two, we're going to be doing some full breakdowns of leaders that I'm going to end up playing to help people get ready for bigger tournaments, store championships, regionals, things like that, where we'll break down, you know, good matchups, bad matchups, mulligans, your first, you know, your first two turns, you know, what you should be charging, sequencing, things like that. So if this is stuff that you guys are interested in, of course, you know, let me know. Obviously, I want you guys to give me your opinion on that kind of stuff. I've had some people who have hit me up about coaching. I've done, I think, now 2 coaching sessions now. Like I said, if this is something you guys are interested in, you know, please let me know down below. But also, you know, like, subscribe. That helps me support the channel, which is always appreciated. I appreciate every single one of you guys. So this build here is 60 cards currently, and generally with new decks, I always test at 60. I want to see what, you know, with most of the decks, the idea is you run 60 cards because you should be cycling your deck, you know, plenty. And the idea is to see as much as I possibly can and see what feels good, what doesn't feel good, and then we start cutting ratios and, you know, going from there. But honestly, this deck playing at 60 has felt really good. I haven't felt any problems with playing this deck at 60, and that's a good feeling, knowing that you can play a deck at 60 and it, you know, it doesn't feel very clunky. So on this side here, you pitch a black battle card. Sorry, just a black card. Yeah, just a black card. You choose one black card in your hand and warp it, and then you draw 2. So that can be any black card. You do awaken though when you have 5 or more Saiyan cards in the warp, which is where I restand 1, draw 1. Generally, turn 3 is probably going to be your awaken turn in most matchups. If you want to awaken early because you want to play, you know, put on more pressure, you can also do that too. There's sequences that you can do in the deck to actually, you know, help with that. And on this side, you're a 15k blocker with 2 different autos. The first auto is when you attack, you are essentially a Paragus Unison, Paragus Super Combo, not a Unison, Paragus Super Combo. So you draw 2 and then warp 1. That's very good. Obviously, the warp is very powerful in this deck. You do have a lot of plays from the warp. That's something to keep in mind. The other effect is whenever your opponent attacks a Unison, you actually get to restand this card and then use this as a blocker. And I believe because of the wording, this works the same way as the future Gohan leader, which, you know, restands the Trunks. But it's in the auto window, and the auto window will actually proc before you actually activate blocker. So you can actually restand him and then activate him for blocker. This is a way for you to, because you do awaken so early, you can keep yourself at a high life total. And then this is a way for you to kind of, you know, slowly take some life, so maybe you can get some extra cards. Also just to keep your Unison safe. Bottom effect, activate main, 1 energy and spirit boost 1. You put 2 cards from 2 black cards from your battle cards from your drop to your warp, from your warp to your drop, and then you choose any of your opponent's battle cards and warp it. So you actually have built-in removal. That's very, very strong, right? Being able to just say, hey, I'm going to, you know, warp one of your big boss monsters and put 2 cards back, and that also helps you fill for Overwhelm and some other things in the deck too, which is very important. So we'll go over the list here, and first one are going to be the Gokus. So we run 2 of the new Challenging a Demon God and 3 of the True Fighting Spirit. Only 3 True Fighting Spirit because it did get nerfed. You only have limit 1 on board, so there's no reason to run 4 anymore, I feel like. But also this Goku actually in this deck I think is pretty cool. It's just a 1-drop cantrip. Side deck applications are some other things you can run on the side deck that actually this works with, which we'll go over probably in the Patreon video. But just playing a card for 1 just to draw is very good in a in a 60 card deck. Just allows you to cycle. And with your front side effect, you can pitch a card to draw 2, and then play this to draw another one. So you're cycling 3 cards for 1 energy. It's very good. Just allows you to see more of your deck. Vegetas, just 4 True Fighting Spirit Vegetas. I have run some other Vegetas. There's the Catastrophic Premonition Vegeta, which I do think is something to consider for a different build of this deck, as well as there's a 1-drop Vegeta Skillless as well, which does actually have some value. Like I said, if you are playing a different version of this deck, but you just run this as a 4 of. Blue matchups, this is obviously a on-play effect, stopping them from being able to, or at least taxing them for restanding energy, makes them waste energy to get around this. Also sequencing is also a thing, so just stops a lot of plays. For the new stuff, we run 4 Gohan and 2 Trunks. So these are your warp area effects. So you actually can play these guys from the warp. Gohan, as long as he's in the warp, you can tap 1 black and play him out. He's a 10k blocker, and when he comes into play, you mill the top 3 cards of your deck to your warp. And it's up to 3, so you can stop at any time. But the idea is you pitch him off of your leader effect, turn 1, and then tap 1 black, play him out, and burst 3, and now you have a blocker on board. Trunks, a little more of a game finisher or just a unison killer. Trunks is a 1-drop spirit boost. For 1 black whenever you have 3 energy, and obviously a unison in play, you play him, and he's a 20k unique and permanent. If you have 10 or more black cards in your warp, he gains double strike, so he becomes a 1-drop 20k double strike card. Very, very powerful. He's good for also ending games too. He can kind of be like a 1-drop new ruler for you. Late game, if you just need an extra swing, being able to remove a battle card, but more importantly, probably a unison, especially 20k unisons. There's going to be a lot of those running around this format. I feel like just give you some good pressure. Next card is going to be Pan. We run 3 Pan. I think 3 is fine. You can run 4 if you would like to. I think anything less than 3 though is just not optimal, because you want to make sure that you see this card multiple turns. So you play it for 1. If your leader is this Trunks, and you warp a card from your hand, and then for the rest of the turn, if your opponent attacks the battle cards, you have to drop 2 cards in order to do that. Now, it does not stop the initial attack, but after that attack, every other attack that goes through, they have to warp a card. The idea is to keep your opponent's board cleared, so they have to attack with their leader or a unison, and then you just play this down, and then it's going to attack them for swinging with any battle cards. So very, very powerful. Also, this is one of the only cards that you cannot recur from your warp and or your drop, so running it as a 3 or a 4 of is probably a good idea. Currently 3 I think fits just what I have space wise. 3 time regulator Trunks. This card's awesome. 3-drop overwhelm 3 for free. You play it, you draw 2, and then warp a battle card, or warp a card. The idea is that you can use between these 2, you can awaken super early. Especially if you have stuff in your drop already, you can use this to overwhelm. You put all those cards back into your warp, draw 2 cards, and put another card into your warp. Use your leader effect to put another Saiyan in there, and now you can realistically awaken. He's also just a 15k body, so very, very cool card. Also has the Trunks tagline, which is important in this deck. Unison of choice is going to be Bardock. Now, the other unison, the Kai. So Kai is very cool as well, and I'll show you guys Kai here if you guys haven't seen the card. So Kai is also a very interesting card. Kai allows you to gain a little bit more markers, since it gains a marker whenever you play a card from the drop area. But that's also where you get your drop effect from, right? So you actually have to spend energy in order to draw. I think the Bardock is better, just being able to just +1 at the beginning of the turn just to draw that extra card. He doesn't have as much defense as the Kai does, being able to gain 2 markers per turn, but depending on how you play the deck, it should be okay. However, the effect on the top here, the Spirit Boost effect, actually is incredibly important. A Spirit Boost effect, you get to choose a battle card in your opponent's drop area and warp it. So between this and the Trunks here, you actually can warp battle cards from your opponent's drop area as well. So this will warp something on board. this will work something from the drop. It just gives you some more removal, more resource removal for Overwhelm, for maybe, you know, Draw Apes, Rebrand, Sparking, Negates, things like that. Just allows you to just give you some more defense there. And then also for more defense, you have the -2. Your opponent attacks with any battle card, they have to warp a card from their hand in order to do so. So late game, that's a pretty good effect, just being able to just -2. If you need to save yourself for another turn, it's a great card to use. So this isn't much of a secret now, and I'm a little saddened by it because as soon as this deck got announced, I like rushed to find all my Gohan stuff. I was like, oh man, we're gonna play Gohanks, and I was like, okay, you know, how are we gonna play the Gohanks engine? And in this particular build, this is the only Gohanks card that we run. I do think there's some other stuff you can do with the other Gohan stuff, and I'll go over. I'll make another video with that stuff, but. This card here, Apocalyptic Future, is it's just free, and that's, you know, in two different ways. One, it's just a free attacker, free value, man. Activate main, you warp a Gohan Xeno and a Trunks Xeno from your drop area and put it back into the warp, and you play them out for free. It's a 15k unique. He can proc all the Vegeta Trunks effects. If they have Poutine and the Trunks on board, you play this. It just taps. Now you can free play something. Now you can actually spend energy to play stuff out, right? In other matchups, he's just a free 15k swing. You tag this on with like a Champa or something. It's a 1k 25, you know, double strike. Like that's like, it just gives you so much value for 1 energy. The bottom effect, you can play out a unison with no specific cost. We don't actually play one of those in this deck, but future decks, this is a potential for something that you can actually do in that deck. And like I said, in that video we'll go over that, but 3 of this guy, he is unique, which is why we only run 3. I don't think you need 4. So the super combo is going to be Goten. Probably we're expecting Vegeta, as most people do. However, after all my playtesting with this deck, my style fits more with Goten. The reason is, with Vegeta, which is a very good super combo, of course, a few different problems. One, it only activates at 4 life. So if I'm at 5 life trying to defend something, whether it's a battle card or my leader from taking crit or double strike or something, and I didn't negate, or I didn't have a negate, my super combo is a 0k combo cost, does not do anything. And that's very irritating for me. This card is a 10k always. So even if you're swinging, or you know, you're getting attacked by a Dragon Fist, which is a very powerful card, and I think yellow deck should be playing it this set, obviously. It turns off all your opponent's skills on battle cards. So Vegeta doesn't draw you a card, and it's a 0k combo. So your most important combo piece is now dead. This guy at least allows you to draw a card. I mean, at least give you 10k combo power. But if your leader's black and you have 5 or more cards in the warp, this draws you a card. Ironically, our leader needs 5 Saiyans in the warp to awaken. So this allows us to have a super combo that we can have live as early as turn 2. And it's also a Saiyan as well. But this card just gives you so much value. This is something that I think people need to look into at least experimenting with, because it just gives you so much defense early on. I like to play with this deck and stay at 6 life, 7 life as far as I can. Just because getting low life total in this meta, especially with the Vegeta Secret Rare running around in the red decks, you know, King Piccolo being a very powerful aggro red deck, you want to stay at a high life total as much of the game so you can get more plays off later on. Next is some small Overwhelm stuff. So 2 Secret ID and 1 Brainwash No More. Secret ID is my chosen secret of choice. I mean, my chosen Overwhelm of choice, the main one, strictly for board clearing. Decks like U7, King Piccolo, they go really wide, and fighting against Fates, although a very powerful card, we have dual attackers and double strikers in this deck. We don't really need that pressure, I feel. This having the removal is just incredibly powerful. And the more the decks that end up going wide, the more this deck just goes right back into the meta of being the Overwhelm of choice over fighting against Fates. This card also has some implications on it too. So it is an Overwhelm 6. You can put 3 black battle cards back into your drop area, and it's a 30k swing, right? So the one thing you can do is you actually can fill the drop area back up for your Gohanks. So you can put, you know, one of these guys back into your drop off of this effect to then get another swing out of it. So for 0 energy, you got a 30k swing and a 15k swing. That's pretty powerful, right? You can also grab this back off of another card in the deck, and also has an activate battle. You can crit a life, tap 1 black, put this card in the drop, and you don't take damage for the battle, which is very important because it just allows you to have an extra defensive step if your opponent, like they cooler your negate, they dump, they hand dump. You have 2 life left. You have one of these left in hand. You can crit it, that way you don't take the life. So it can end up being very powerful. And like I said, Secret ID just good for board clearing. I think it's probably the best generic Overwhelm card right now for this meta. Just being able to clear stuff on board is very important. A lot of the good decks right now are just building these wide boards and either going late or trying to kill you very early with the wide board. This just kind of shuts down momentum. A tech card that I'm running is Super Saiyan 4 prepping for fusion. It's not because I don't have the Overwhelm 6 Vegeta card. I actually have that card. I think I have a playset of it somewhere, the promo. I don't think it's viable. The reason is because it is an Overwhelm card, and our Overwhelm, ripping 1 card from my opponent's hand is not valuable enough for me in this deck. I want it to be able to, warp, a bunch of cards on board, or, set up a Gohan's play, or, grab something back from the drop. There's different things I want my Overwhelm to do, and this card just does not do that. Or that, the Feigning Greeting does not do that, right? So this card, it's a 1-drop, it's Xeno Evolve, 1 black over a Vegeta cost of 1. And when you swing with it, you search your deck for a skill list and add it to your hand. So the skill list I currently don't run in this deck. I think it's something you can run. Is it highly competitive? I don't know. We'll need a little more testing with that. But you do get to look through your deck, which is important because you actually can see what's in your deck. You don't actually have that often in black decks, being able to search your entire deck to see what's in there, right? But being able to do this allows you to see if your super combo is in there, if your secret rare is in there, fusion pieces, things like that, and that way you know if you need to take damage or not. Which is just that's just good knowledge. Also, he is you can play him off of this guy, which is obviously the whole point of it, right? So you can swing 15k with this guy, take a life. And then you can tap 1 black to play this guy. Xeno Evolve, if you guys don't know, this card goes to the warp, right? Which is important for another card that we run in the deck because you want to have Vegetas in the warp. And then this guy comes in, he's a 30k body. Having a 30k body for 1 energy is very powerful. And then you can just use this as just a swing every turn. Also, he also counts for fusion with one of the next cards we run in the deck, the Goku, because he has a 30k. So he allows us to have a fusion piece as well. So I do think this card's really good. It's just a utility slot. Also, you can grab it back because it is under 7 cost. So it's a very cool card. Another tech card is going to be 1 Super Saiyan 3 Son Gohan. I love this card. I was running it as a 2 of. I may go back to 2. When one of your cards is removed by a skill, you play this out for free from your hand. It's a 15k blocker. You can grab it back with Beyond All Limits. Also, any of your cards that leave via Overwhelm also counts as a skill. So you can swing with this, do a bunch of stuff, clear the board, then play this for free. And then it's just going to stick on board. Now you have a 15k blocker, plus your leader, plus probably your Gohan. You have a lot of blockers on board. And free playing, again, is very good in these decks. Also counts as a Saiyan, obviously. Does not count as a Gohan Xeno, unfortunately, which I wish it did. But it is what it is. It's still a great card. 1 Champa, or Kai, whatever you guys want to call it. It's in there. Gotta have it, I think. 2 Kai negates. We fill up our warp very quickly. So matchups that even matchups that help you get cards in the warp, i.e. Red Broly, right? your opponent starts warping cards in your hand. You're like, cool, I have a 1-drop now. Negate, I'll just warp that card, right? It just gives you so much just pressure. Being able to just get rid of stuff on board. Also, probably my favorite target to grab back from Beyond All Limits in this deck. I always have a negate that can stop 2 attacks, essentially. 3 of the token negates, since we finally have the token negates. It's great. I do wish I could run Power Burst. I just don't have enough. I generally don't have enough cards in my drop area to run Power Burst. But late game, this is good. You want to make sure you see just at least 1. 2 would be fantastic. You don't need the 3rd one. The 3rd one you can actually, if you see 1 really early, you'll probably just end up charging it because you'll see the other ones. This one also is basically homicidal clones, or testing the ops, because it is a 5k that also has 5k combo power. So that is pretty important. Now in this deck, I do not run the Poutine. Just make sure that you guys know what the Poutine I'm talking about. I do not run this Poutine. I think this Poutine is incredibly good, just not in this deck. It has some utility with mainly just the token. Like, that's the important part of it, right? Is that you can actually, if you have a token already on board from a negate, you can actually play this, plays another token, you can swing, activate battle, pop this, restand, you know, draw a card. Like, there's a bunch of implications on it that's really good, but it's not a Saiyan. And my Overwhelm's 3 spot is time Regulator Trunks, and that's free. That draws me 2 cards and puts a card in a warp. This costs 1 energy, and that 1 energy could be used for my Trunks, it could be used for my Thwarting, it could be used for my other Trunks. Like, there's that 1 energy is very valuable. So I just don't think this is great in the deck. I know people are playtesting with it, but I don't think it's the best target for the deck. Kukoitsukai. It's a great card, right? You want to see it. You don't want to see it too much. Generally, like my kill turn against yellow, I'll play this out, and then we'll, you know, just, you know, go for broke. Because then most yellow decks, most of their negates are battle cards, whether it's Frieza Army, whether they're playing Putin off of a rest, whether they're you know, playing Mecha Frieza, and this just completely stops them. King Piccolo as well. This puts the hammer down on King Piccolo on defense. You can just push for damage, and they're just not gonna be able to really play any other guys, so ends up being pretty good. 2 Petrification. I think this is probably the best addition to the deck that I've made. There's a lot of decks that have on attack effects, and we want to remove that stuff. So like the new Vegeta Trunks 8-drop, very powerful. You can just stop it from being able to do anything. You have the 8-drop Goku, which looks at your hand. You can use this, and this stops the auto from finalizing, so they don't get to look at your hand. If your opponent plays a Vegeta Secret Rare and they decide to swing with it, you can just do this. That way they can't use their activate main, and then you can warp it next turn. There's a lot of different functionality of this card. I definitely think you should run it as a 2 of in every black deck. And probably every black deck going forward, you're going to see this as a 2 of. Just because I do think this is probably one of the best utility cards that black has to offer. Now we get to all the shiny expensive Saiyans. We have 4 of the Trunks, 3 Beyond All Limits, and 3 Thwarting. Disregard the one SR. For whatever reason, everyone's playing this deck, so no one will give me their SPRs. So I gotta find a 4th SPR. But this is kind of the package here that we run for the big boys. So Trunks, obviously he's the new one. He is a 20k dual attack deflect. You play him out for 2 from the warp if you have 8 or more black cards in the warp. He also counts as one of those, so if you have 7 plus 1 with him, making 8, you can still play him out. He then swings twice. Every time he swings, you put up to 3 black battle cards back into your drop. So the idea essentially is you put back Gohan's and Trunks's, you use them for this. There's another card that we run, which we'll show off in a second here, that also gives you cards back, but you can do this, swing, put back 3, right? Use 2 for Gohan, swing again, put back 3 more, combo some cards, right? And then use it to play out Beyond All Limits, which then grabs back realistically all the cards that we just showed except for the 1-drops and 2-drops, and then you can pay 1 to play out Thwarting. Combination is undefeated. This combination is just amazing. This card just adds so much to the deck. Turn 2, you actually can there's a play where you can if you get a Goku and a Vegeta in the drop, in the warp from your leader effect, you can play Thwarting out for 1, put those 2 cards in the drop, swing with Thwarting, combo 1 card, play Trunks, overwhelm all those cards back, and then you should hopefully have 5 to be able to awaken. And then you can also then like there's so many things you can do with that. It's a very, very cool combination of cards, but I think this is probably the best combination of these. Keep this at 4. The other reason with this card is it's good and bad. It's very good into every matchup except for green. If green wastes a charismatic villain on this card does go and end up getting removed from the game, so you can't use it anymore. But if they use it on this, that's one less one they have to worry about with Gogeta, which is probably the better piece for that green deck to hit. So if they use it on the Trunks, that's fine. Now we have it available for Gogeta. And the other 2 Saiyans are going to be 2 Gogetas. Another card I need to find the SPRs for. This card here is incredibly powerful. So the format is shaping up to be a lot of red, and I think with red being very popular, this card ends up putting in way more work than it did in the previous format. Matchups with blue, matchups with yellow, especially if they have energy open and or unison play, this card's basically just useless because it's going to come into play in rest mode and get bounced back to your hand. But black matchups, green matchups, red matchups, especially the mirror, being able to just warp stuff from your opponent's hand and warp cards on the board is incredibly powerful. Red matchups, this card just completely annihilates red matchups, especially King Piccolo. You just, you can stall to 4 energy against King Piccolo. You drop this guy for 4. You're warping 2 things on board, 2 things from hand. You're swinging 3 times at their unison. And you're putting too much pressure on them for them to be able to do anything, and then they can't remove this. There's nothing that deck can play to remove this card. It's going to stay on board, and it's going to be a blocker next turn as well. So, very powerful card. Any other red deck, though, like I said, if they want a Violent Raise, that's fine. They're dropping 4 cards from their hand then. 2 off the Violent Raise, 2 off of this effect to the warp, 2 cards on board. Puts in so much pressure. I definitely think it's probably good in the main. And then Secret Rare is going to be the new Supreme Kai. I like this a little more than the other one. The other one's great with the board wipe. I think we have enough board control in this deck, so being able to use this as a 1-drop 50k double strike because of the Servant tag is incredibly powerful. The second effect, I actually didn't realize, didn't activate main or battle. You pay 1 colorless, you warp this card, you basically take this card out of the game, and then until the start of your next turn, if your opponent attacks the battle card or a unison, they have to crit a life. So if you get them down to 1 or 2 life, this is basically a baby hatch. It just stops their turn, and they have to crit life then to be able to do anything. And more than likely, they're not going to do that. You also being able to play this, like if you play this out on your opponent's turn, they rest it, they do whatever, right? You can just instantly just tap 1 and then just warp it, and now for the rest of their turn, they don't get to attack unless they want to, tax themselves, cards from life. And you have Pan as well that you can tax them from, their hand. Like, there's a lot of things that you can do with it. So this is my current build for Trunks. There's like 2 other builds that I'm going to put on the channel. I think this is pretty optimized for best of 1. For the most part, I think probably if you're just in a best of 1 format, we'll go over some side deck cards you can potentially add in there depending on some things that you might run into. But again, this may all be, Patreon content. So again, make sure you guys let me know if you guys want to see something like that. I'll figure out some pricings and stuff for Patreon. I'm not going to make it incredibly ridiculous, but I would like for you guys, if you guys want to support the channel and get some more, exclusive content, I'm here, as a vessel of information for you guys. So thank you guys, though, for watching. I appreciate it. Make sure you guys like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
And so I just ran with it.
I'm glad we played this instead of Grand Priest.
Oh yeah, little thing for Grand Priest. Don't try and build it, guys. It's really bad.
Yeah. The way that you build it is you just put all the cards in your binder, and then just go and move on to something else. Well, thanks, man, for letting me talk to you here, and I will talk to you guys in the next video. Thank you guys for watching.